Hey everybody, welcome to This Pink Cloud. I am DJ Kelly Reverb. We are a show that is about multiple pathways to recovery, mental health, all that good stuff. I am so excited that I could get this guy last minute. He is so super busy, but we were chopping it up on the phone the other day, and we started talking mental health, and I go, hey bud, come on the show and talk some shit with me, and we can talk some mental health with it. But ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't figured it out already, Paul Anthony, a.k.a. Gettoblaster, all the way from his home lair. Give it up for my boy, Paul Anthony, everybody. How are you, dude?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Thank you for coming on, dude. I appreciate this. Very last minute.
For sure, man. Just keep it super busy, man. You know how it is.
I do. And as you're multitasking in Record Box.
Hey, don't hate me for it.
Right. Hey, dude.
I have a busy weekend ahead of me. So.
I get it. Well, and you have to put all my new shit on your thumb drive, so I get it.
That was yesterday already.
But anyway, dude, so I'm excited to hear this because I know a little bit of your backstory, but I mean your backstory is rich with house music history, if you will. When did you start DJing, and take us back to a young little Paul?
I mean, definitely in the 90s. So, a long time ago, but I prefer not putting any dates on what I do, but as far as that goes, I mean, the 90s.
So you were around when vinyl was there?
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely how I started. And it was cool because, I grew up in an era where I actually was running in circles where the guys who created house music were still in those circles. They still are now currently, but the ones that are still alive.
Sure.
Rest in peace to anybody that I may be referring to, but definitely, I got a chance to work at record stores where these type of guys would come record shopping before they went overseas for their gigs. So, getting to know who these people are after selling them records, they walk off the store like, you know who that was? I'm like, no. And I go, so I'm like, oh wow, that was Farley Jackmaster Funk. That's cool.
Right? Yeah.
So, I heard he sell records, so you don't think about who you're selling them to,
Sure. I heard he had a friend of mine used to come into Bill's Records where I used to work, and he would come in, and he was from Chicago, and he would say that he would see Farley J, and he had his Corvette with the Farley J vanity plate on it. Is that true?
That's true for sure.
Nice.
There was Bad Boy Bill who had the Monte Carlo with the Ooh Bill license plate too.
I did not know that, but I do love Bill, and I refer to him as the Triple B now.
Oh yeah, he's definitely instrumental in the beginning days of Gettoblaster. So
they just had a B96 reunion that was crazy.
Yeah, it was about 2 hours away from where I'm currently living.
Right, gotcha. Well, so you record store days, and then how do you start getting to become one of those guys that's making records?
So for me, it's like in a blink of an eye it happened, but in a blink of an eye it was 25 plus years. So it's kind of weird for me, but
right.
Like if I rewind to yesterday, it was like I remember doing pretty much every nightclub in Chicago, and open format DJing in Chicago, even currently, is not like open format DJing anywhere else. Like there's a lot of house music involved with open format DJing in Chicago. Hip hop,
right?
Very little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
And, so as you DJ, you want more and more things, and at the time I was working at a record store where DJ Sneak was working, and he was like, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, I don't know. What are you doing this weekend? He's like, I'm playing at the Harvey Expo Center. I'm like, what's that? He goes, there's an underground rave. You should come check it out. And it was him, Lady Miss Cure from D-Light, and Frankie Moons. And I had gone to the party after my shift at the nightclub that I was playing at. It was done at 3:00. I just remember, you know what? Carlos invited me to a warehouse party. Maybe I'll go check it out. So for me, it was like a rave party. I was like, ooh, sex, drugs. I don't know about that.
Right.
Like, whatever. So we went. Sure. And I was like, holy shit. There's 4,000 people here. This is fucking insane. I go, whatever I'm doing, throw all of that away. I want to do this. I want to do.
Right.
So with that being said, he definitely versed me into what the underground was that night.
Right. Right.
So long story short, I fell in love with that perspective of it. I was playing the same kind of house music he was and everybody else, but I was doing it in clubs. So at that point, I was like, I need to become part of this. And he told me, he's like, either you make records or you make mixtapes. That's the easiest way into Chicago underground. So this tape that I tattooed to my arm right here, I
Mm-hmm.
sold 20,000 copies of that tape, and I became a rave DJ. Like
Oh wow. What was the name? What was the name of the mix?
it was called Chicago Life.
Oh, okay.
So, it was a red tape, and
And then being a good businessman, I'm sure there was Chicago Life 1, 2, 3, 4.
well, there was I started doing different tapes.
Okay.
So I
I
did
did.
like a series of tapes, and I did like "You Don't Know Me," which was a huge single by Armand Van Helden at one point.
I do remember that.
I
Yeah.
did Chicken Fried Disco. I did Silicone Disco. I did Fisco Ducking. I've done any kind of like weird reference to disco. I definitely did. So after 3 years, I sold over 100,000 tapes, and I was like a seriously in-demand DJ in Chicago. So
Wow.
I know that seems like an astronomical number, but the guy who owned the record store that I was working for had little kiosks in every mall, and they would sell mixtapes in all the malls.
Oh yeah.
So between that, the flea markets, and the record stores, I had about 100 locations that carried my mixtape. So it was
Right.
very easy to sell 10,000 copies of one edition.
Yeah, because the mixtape in Chicago was like huge, and that's kind of how Bad Boy Bill kind of blew up, right?
That well, he was already a big guy on the radio. The story on
Right.
that, actually, without changing the interview about him, I could
Yeah.
just put that in a synopsis. When I worked at Hot Jams for Andre Lopez, basically there was an era between radio shows. There was
Mm-hmm.
WTCI, there was WBMX. When those ended, there was like a gap between that and when they started B96 in Chicago. There was a couple
Mm.
year gap where you couldn't hear the DJs play anymore. So what was happening was people were coming to the record store. They used to record the radio and bring the tapes in and ask the record store owners, "Hey, what record is this? What record is that?" Well, now there's no place to hear these people except for at the club. And if you don't go to the club, you don't hear these people. So Andre talked Bill into doing a mix tape. He's like, "You should do a tape because people are wondering what the hell you're playing."
Gotcha.
So he did a tape, and if I'm correct, the first one sold 100,000 copies.
Wow.
So I was at the tail end of it. So like when I was at it, tapes were already starting to fizzle out, and it was moving into CDs. And that was a
Mm-hmm.
very short stint too, because CDs didn't last for very long. The CDRs or whatever, that was a very short stint for mixes at least.
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember.
Because then you can start putting them online and all this other stuff. Like online wasn't very prevalent when we started doing the raves, but
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, the Napster was not around until it was, and then the MP3 took over, and then you either you either adapted or you became a open format raging alcoholic like me.
hey, right. So yeah, that was the beginning of it, and like starting at high school dances and barbecues and
Mm-hmm.
graduation parties turned into, man, I really want to go to the teen club, and there was a teen club that did 1,500 people every Friday and Saturday, not too far from my house, and I was like, I want to play this, and I stuck around and hung out with these people long enough to where they let me do a guest spot.
Mm-hmm.
Got a residency my senior year in high school. I played there for a year and a half till it shut down. But then it was funny. One night I was like, we're shutting down at 11 because it's a teenage club, so there's curfew. So now you have everything shutting down. And I see these guys rolling in bins of speakers too, and I'm like, "What is that?" And they're like, "We're getting ready for a rave." I'm like, "I've been to one of these. That's crazy." And like, when the teen club shut down, the owner would flip it in an hour, and then there would be a line out the door for rave people coming in.
Oh wow,
So
how cool.
so it was like rave culture was big in the '90s in Chicago, and like I said, I was a big part of that. So I went from teen club to Chicago nightclub, from Chicago nightclub to wanting to do guest spots on the radio. Then I had my own radio station for a solid year. I was on 103.9, doing every Friday night. I was
Did
doing.
you do air checks and everything?
I was actually not supposed to be an on-air personality because there was.
Right.
I, I was bored.
Dude, but give Paul Anthony a microphone, dude. If you put one near him, dude, he's got to use it.
Seriously, and that was kind of it. Like so. right out of high school, I was doing a radio show, and it was cool. Like I said, I would show up and I would like do my half-hour mix because we'd have like 50 DJs on there, throughout 3 weeks,
Hmm.
and I would be in a rotation every other week. And I was like, I wanted to come host it with the guy. I was like, because there was an extra room with mics, and I was like, oh, cool. So we would like do a talk show. We would take callers. We would. It ended. We got fired from the radio station because we were
Right.
like, who is out there that wants to come over to the radio station? And the owner of the radio station heard us saying this. He
Uh-huh.
popped into the radio station. There's about 200 people there. We were all
Oh, nice.
drunk on the air. Like it was just, I remember I ran to the back, jumped into a dumpster, and as the owner opened the dumpster, he's like, "You're fired."
That's
So, like
hilarious.
all these things were just wants to do more. And then once I discovered that Sneak and Derek Carter and these guys were playing overseas, I didn't even know that was a thing. I was very like,
Yeah,
I want to be a big DJ in Chicago. That's all I knew.
sure.
And then once I got into the underground scene, then I got an offer to go to, I think the first city I played ever was Cincinnati.
Okay.
The first plane ticket I ever got was Kansas City. And I'll just never forget. I was like, dang, I'm getting $1,000.
Right.
I'm flying and I'm paying for my hotel and I'm headlining the show. Everyone's there to see me play. I go, that's fucking crazy. It's mind blowing. You're just
Right.
used to being a Chicago guy that now this is a thing. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And it just, after doing 13 mixtapes and over 100,000 tapes, I ended up
Uh-huh.
playing 15 to 20 countries and I played every city in America.
Wow. Well, so how did I guess take us into the production part. Like how do you start, from the mixtapes, then who was inspiring you to produce, and then when did you start producing?
So in 1998, I was asking Paul Johnson, or 1999, I asked Paul Johnson, I go, how are you getting all these gigs overseas? He's like, bro, I just make records.
Right.
He goes, you're a Chicago guy. He's like,
Right.
you could literally make a track, put some beats down, and just stutter words.
Mm.
You're a fucking Chicago guy. You're gonna go out of town.
Right. Yeah,
He goes,
exactly.
we are sought after. People like Chicago. So I was like, okay. So that's all I have to do is make some music. So I made a track, and next thing you know, I'm getting booked in Bulgaria. I'm getting booked in Romania. I'm
Wow.
in.
What was the label? What was your first label? Was it like
So it was a label called Nocturnal, which was a sub label of Dysfunctional that was done by
okay.
Jonathan Waller and the Rhythm Masters.
Okay.
And me and my friends at the time, their name was High Caliber. I did the vocals on the track and helped write, arrange the track. And it ended up number one on BBC Radio One, Pete Tong's most chosen track,
Wow.
like
Out
4
of the
in a row,
gate.
right
That's
off
pretty
the rip.
good. Is it streaming now, like where we can actually look it up,
Literally, it's on
or just YouTube?
it's on Beatport. I think they put it
Oh,
on
okay.
Beatport years later,
Uh-huh.
and it was called High Caliber featuring Paul Anthony. You Are the Dance Floor.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look it up.
And it was like right after Satisfaction got real big.
Okay. All
So
right.
it was kind of weird, like how that record came about. It's just a cool. We pitched my vocal down. We put a little bit crusher on it, maybe something
Hmm.
robotic, and it just got voted in to be the viewers' pick of the week a couple weeks in a row. They used to do that on BBC
Yeah,
Radio.
and that was back when like something like that would move the needle significantly.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
was funny too because had I not been touring before that, that would have not been a big thing for me because the guys who I did the record with were like, "Why are you getting booked in Europe all the time and I'm not?" I'm like, "Oh, because I was already playing in Europe." And
Right.
now
I got
now they're putting a song to my name in my bio,
right.
and you guys haven't really even toured yet. So like
Hmm.
that's why these people are interested in me right off the rip, and they were actually hitting the record label up, asking them how to get a hold of me. So
Right. Right.
that's weird how that was working. Like I didn't even have a booking yet. I didn't have a booking agent until I started Gettoblaster. Paul Anthony, the entire duration of my 20+ year career, and
Hmm.
at that name had taken me to over 100 countries, and I had some of the biggest electro records in the game. Like
Right.
at one point in 2009, I
Hmm.
think I was sitting with number one overall on Beatport with like 16 tracks in the overall top 100. Like Paul Anthony and my old partner ZXX, we put a significant amount of electro out. Did everything
Right.
remixing Larry T on Ultra to putting out a record on Laid Back Luke's Mix Mash at the time, which we
Was that
introduced.
on Nova Mute? Because I know he used to do a lot of stuff through Nova Mute.
It was called Mix Mash.
Okay.
It's still current. It's still a
Okay.
current label. And the GTA, Good Times Ahead, these guys, their first record was a remix to ours on that label. And those guys ended up becoming astronomically huge too.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a lot.
It's funny because like your trajectory was kind of like guys like me, like the MP3 came along and kind of submarined a lot of careers. But it's weird because it's like you started up and really elevated after the whole MP3 thing. So it was like, yours is kind of a little, a different time,
It was a second run because the first
Yeah.
run, when I was doing the Funk Monkeys, which is another name that I did, I had a big run with that. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
on Eric Marilla's Subliminal label back when you would be on Subliminal and it would actually take you to Europe. Like
Oh yeah.
I had played a ton of gigs because of that record particularly. And I had a run with the records. I had a run with that whole run, and that was the beauty of it. And then when I started the electro era, I mean, essentially, I think I told you this on the phone. The only reason I really found out what Beatport really was is because one of my records that came out on vinyl was released digitally through my distributor.
Mm.
And the distributor went bankrupt, and Beatport contacted me, being like, "We owe you like $10,000. So, like, can you get someone to sign off that you could take this money because the people who are distributing your label aren't giving you the money because it's sitting here. I can't give it to them. No one's there."
Right.
So that's how I found out about Beatport.
Right. When you could do 10,000 in sales on Beatport.
You still can.
Yeah. Oh, well, all right.
Still a thing. That's still a
Yeah.
thing. I had one recently over in 2021. We did our record Gettoblaster featuring Missy House.
Oh yeah.
That clearly has made over $20,000.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool that you can actually have a track that makes money because I haven't seen that yet.
After everything with streaming and everything, but like I'm
Right.
sure before the splits, that definitely cleared 10 grand. So
Well, that's great. That's badass, dude. And it's a good record.
it was a big boy record. It was an
Yeah.
overall number one. I remember taking out Vintage Culture, John Summit, and a bunch of those type of people that were in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 position. I took all of them out
Right.
that month. So
Right.
now again, I haven't had one that big since then. I've had a lot of micro hit, like more I don't even know how you would call it, more
Yeah, not number one with a bullet, but sub bullets.
well, yeah, I've got a lot of genre number ones instead of
Yeah.
number ones. But the amount of support that I get on records after I got noticed from that record is kind of crazy. Like on the average support, I'm seeing things like Jamie Jones on every record. I'm seeing Laurent Garnier. I'm seeing like a lot of great names of like people that I'm like beyond blessed to have support my music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they're now your contemporaries, and you're working with them, and you're like homies.
Like Todd Terry. If you would have told me 20 years ago that I was going to work with Todd,
yeah.
I would have called you a fucking liar. I'm like, yeah, right. And
Oh yeah,
now I'm going to play for him 3 dates in Ibiza. So it's all
that's insane. Yeah, that's so great. Congrats on that. That's big. Is that your first time in Ibiza?
No,
Oh,
probably
okay.
like my 10th time. It's my second time Gettoblaster though.
Well, there you go.
We went in. I had a partner last time when I first started Gettoblaster. I was with a partner, and we had played. We had played in 2023. Have Bora does a label called Too Many Rules, and he did a party at Tantra and invited us out while we were in Europe at the time already. So we had accepted the offer, went to Ibiza, and ended up having a fucking fantastic time. So,
well, hey, real quick, I am going to throw to commercial, but after this, then we'll talk a little. We'll get to a little mental health. How does that sound? Okay, awesome. So here's the new sponsor. All right, and we are back. Actually, guess what? That was a party that's happening here in Dallas, Texas on June 8th, which is Sunday, June 8th. And guess who's headlining? that guy over there
yeah,
or there. Right?
whichever.
Yeah, but no, but I'm excited, dude. So I'm excited we could get you in on a day party,
Yeah,
and I'm excited to have you come out and play, dude.
there's nothing more likable than a day party in the summertime, especially in Texas where it's hotter than a motherfucker.
We will. Well, the good thing is there's the outdoor, but then there's the indoor. So
Nice.
we will be indoor, and hopefully it won't be that hot, but we'll have sun kites, all that good stuff. So it's going to be a good time. And then real quick, we also have some new music streaming, and here that is. Okay, and we are back. That stuff is doing really well. Actually, just got some support on that last Keep On Running on the Sirius XM Studio 54. So shout out Danny Valentino, actually is his name. He does a new disco show on there, and he's showing us some love, and I don't even know the guy. So anyway, be sure, like, subscribe, and also, if you're on that platform, look for the podcast because we are called This Pink Cloud, streaming everywhere. Anyway, dude. So back to the blaster. So we were talking about you got into production,
Yeah.
and then but I know that we were talking also on the phone. We were talking some mental health stuff, and what kind of struggles have you been through? Because I mean, you obviously you have to have a tough skin in this business,
Oh, for sure.
and all that good stuff. But I mean, what's your take on it? So,
I mean, I've definitely have had crazy struggles with it because, like,
hmm
before you blow up in this business, everyone has your cell phone number, and then like you're in town for like 3 days before you have to do laundry and leave town again. Like that's the one disruptive thing about the entire industry is that you're constantly on the go, and you have to learn how to be on the move all times, and at any given, like right now, to even do this, like I'm doing
hmm
it with my phone, I had to like put my phone on away because just in the first 3 minutes of me you and talking, I had 5 text messages. So like
sure.
I'm constantly being reached at. So like I definitely now have another phone number that not everybody has the phone number.
Oh,
So
you got the burner phone.
I mean, you can call it a burner phone, but
All
it's like
right,
definitely just the other phone that very important people have, like my fiance, like my mom, like people like that have.
right.
And
Sure,
my
family,
agent, my agent
immediate
is
view.
that people who need to get a hold of me, undoubtedly that phone's always on.
Gotcha.
This one is not necessarily.
hmm
I'm not reachable all the time, but I am
hmm
most of the time because I'm usually on the road. So like I definitely try to keep everything active, but there's the one phone that this
Well,
is.
one thing I do like about you is you are a man of the people, and you are a personable guy, and it's not like, oh, I'm this, and you can't talk to me because you love the fans.
There's nothing worse than me talking to people who are trying to like get to the next level. And are like, oh, dude, I need a social media manager. I'm like, yeah, you are one person that does not need a social media manager because the thing with the social media manager, and I say this to everybody who says that to me is, I wouldn't have half the record deals that I had I had someone else doing my social media
Oh
because
yeah,
the things that I notice on social media is when Chris Lake likes one of my videos that I post up or one of my posts in general or a story. I'm like, oh wow, he's listening to that record. Well, that record's not signed yet. Hey Chris,
hmm
this is available,
right.
and he happens to be online at that moment. I get a phone call 5 minutes later, and the process of what everyone else does is like go through. track stack or all these other things. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sitting here bragging that I'm friends with Chris
Yeah.
Lakeman. I've known him since my previous career.
Mm-hmm.
I just say, hey, do you want it? Yeah, I want it. Cool. Okay, done. And then I get a contract in a couple of days. So like I
Right.
don't if
Well,
I
I love that. I would consider that, and that's what I kind of explain it as. You've been invited to the VIP section, and you
yeah,
you now have a table in there.
and I'm not like
Hey, it is what it is, dude. I'm not taking it as a brag.
I don't
I'm
think
just taking it as a you've done a shit ton of work to get where you are, dude, and there's a lot of hustle that goes into getting where you are.
but ironically when it comes to this whole music shit, when, living life in any aspect that I've lived it, like just because you're like a super famous DJ and you make $500,000 a weekend, I don't give a fuck about your money or who you are. If you're a
Hmm.
good person, I fuck with you. That's it.
Sure.
That's
Right.
why like I don't mind hitting up Chris because I don't text him every 2 seconds. Oh, Chris, what's up, dude? How's it going? Like,
Hmm.
dude, Chris has his own life, and whatever I'm feeling, he's
Hmm.
feeling it 1,000 times more than I am.
Right.
So the last thing I'm going to do is bother this guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's a good dude. If I'm in the same city as him, I'll hit him up, or if I just want to say what's up, happy birthday, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't overuse people's phone numbers because I hate when people overuse my phone number.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I couldn't
Sure.
imagine what it's like to have like 2 million followers. Like
Oh yeah.
I
Well,
have.
but it's something important you said earlier, and I think this kind of ties in with the mental health thing.
Yeah.
Is people are always wanting something from you. You
Well,
know that
that's just
hey,
I
yeah.
remember there was a time in the middle of one of my tours, me and my girlfriend were having dinner,
Mm-hmm.
and it was crazy because I was like, I'm just gonna leave my phone downstairs. This thing's fucking ridiculous. And I went and had dinner. I came back to 100 missed messages,
Mm-hmm.
and every single message was somebody who wanted something from me.
Right. Yeah. And
So
I mean, and it kind of makes you see how, and I mean, because I had some level of fame as well, with traveling and stuff. And it's not really all it's cracked up to be. I mean, it's work. And I mean, yeah, it's cool to be able to go to a different city and draw.
mhm.
But then, it's just like, why do these people want to talk to me? Do they want to talk to me because they like my music, or do they want something from me, or?
Well, I'm convinced that everyone wants something from somebody. I'm just like
Eh,
I allow myself to be available when I want to be available, and when I don't want to be available, no one's talking to me. And you know that because I mean we've been friends for a long time. So like
mhm,
there's times I just shut myself off to everyone because I need me time. You know what I
mhm,
mean? It is
sure.
what it is. It's nothing personal to anybody. But I just remember I did 6 shows in 4 days in 3 countries. This is in 2022. I just remembered that I had come home that Monday acting like nothing's wrong. So I
Mhm,
went to go for a jog and I couldn't even go a quarter mile. I literally started having hard time breathing. Thought I was having a fucking heart attack.
mhm.
And I was like, "Oh my god, I shouldn't have done so much cocaine." And I was like, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I quit doing cocaine because I was like, "Oh,
Right.
fuck did I do?"
Sure.
I was in Mexico. I mean, that's where you do cocaine because it's good, right?
Of
So
course.
so I ended up at the hospital, and this is when there was an overflow in 22 of the second run of COVID,
Mhm,
and I just remember they did an EKG on me. They're like, "You didn't have a heart attack." I was like, "Okay, that's the warning. Don't ever do drugs again." So we're good there.
mhm,
Second of all, what happened? He's like, "Congratulations, you had your first panic attack."
mm,
I was like, "Oh wow, okay." So I mean, that's I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't even smoke weed. Like
mhm.
people who vape, I'm like, do that shit over there. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Sure. Well, it's funny because that's kind of how it started for me. I was in the Pittsburgh airport, and I had my first panic attack, and I had just got done playing with like Kimball Collins or something like that in Pittsburgh, and then I was on my way back, and I was in the airport, and I remember feeling uneasy in the cab ride to
yeah,
the airport, but then once I got to the counter, it was like I was hyperventilating, and then that's how once I got to the plane, then first class, okay, would you like a Bloody Mary? And I'm like, yeah. And then so I had one of those, and guess what? It worked. And
yeah.
but then it's just like, okay, cool. Now I have learned the behavior. Anytime I feel anxious, throw some alcohol at it, and you're and you're Gucci.
Then the problem is when you get too anxious and you keep doing that all the time, then drinking becomes a problem. So it's like
Exactly.
there has to be a fine line of like what you're doing. Like right now,
Sure.
my newest thing is on my time off, I like to buy books. I like to read books. I like to do mellow things. I ride my bike. I've recently been doing this infrared sauna and
Oh,
I vitamin C shower and then a cold plunge. I've been doing this like cold.
okay.
And I just do
Right.
these type of things and just like meditate and kind of get away from reality a little bit and then come back to earth a little bit later. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
doing things to like I don't know. I don't know if I'm assuming it's great for me, but mentally it's great for me.
Right.
It's giving me some sort of like I need to do this, I need to do that, and it feels good to do it.
Right.
So
Well, it's kind of like a little self awareness. It sounds like, like of having me time.
then I have health issues, so like I'm trying to keep them in check as I travel because the one hard thing for most people at that time too, when I got back from Mexico,
Hmm.
I also wanted to shock my system too after I quit doing. And I never really did drugs heavy, anyways. Let's be real. Like
Okay.
I toyed around with drugs when I was 42. I quit when I was 44. So like, you know what I mean? Like all good, but
A late bloomer.
oh yeah, I had a
Right.
solid 2 years of being rock star. It was great.
Right.
But and I would never take those years back. It was awesome.
Sure.
I loved that I did drugs for 2 years at the height of my busiest time of my life because
Hmm.
it made me realize how you get burnt out, how you crash, and how you overdose. Like I would
Hmm.
never want to do any of that stuff. And sadly, I've lost too many people to all of that. So
Right.
without even getting into any details of who or what or when,
Right.
I've lost a lot of people to
Yeah.
drugs.
Well,
And
we just had a remembering Defuse episode.
oh yeah,
Because Defuse passed away, and it was from basically complications of alcohol. Because I had just played with him that that Friday night, and then
and didn't he just come back randomly out of nowhere too?
he was on his way back, and he was rebuilding. But it's basically the alcohol, he just couldn't walk away from it, because he kept going back to it and going back to it, and never really found his rock bottom until he passed away. So
Sometimes that's the worst way to find it, you know. And that's
yeah,
another thing
well,
too. Like as I get older, I realize that like just the idea of drinking heavy, holy fuck, I can't. Like
right.
I just trying to. I don't know. I don't have like a. I don't set alarms. I'm not an alarm guy. I have an internal clock that tells me what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because anyone I've toured with, my previous partner, or if my girlfriend goes with me on dates, like they'll set all these alarms, and for whatever reason, like if it's like we have to leave to the airport at 5, at 4:50, I'm like,
Let's go.
I'll literally go from like this to like we gotta go, and like in a frenzy, I get up, and they're like, "How the fuck did you do that?" I'm like, "I don't know." It's just, I've been doing it for so long, and
Yeah.
probably only missed maybe 5 flights in my whole life.
Yeah.
One
That's
dude,
pretty impressive.
yeah, I mean for real. And
Yeah.
there's been obviously flights and things that have happened
Right. They weren't your fault. Yeah.
that weren't my fault, and there's nothing I could do about it. But at the end of the day, like it's only been my fault about 5 times in the 3,000-4,000 flights that I've taken.
Right. Yeah. Well,
It's probably
so
more than that though, because not last year, but in 2023 alone, I took 380 some flights just in 2023. So
wow, that's a lot.
that's a lot.
That's a lot of flights, and people don't realize it. I mean, it sounds glamorous and everything, but
No,
people don't realize dude, I have so much respect for stewards and stewardess. Like how often they fly. It's just insane, and that's your job to feel what the psi's on your body going up and down. I mean,
what's weird when you get on flights, they're like, I remember you because I
oh
have
yeah,
very distinctive green glasses. So people
right.
remember me and they're like, you were just here last week. I'm like, yeah, I've been here every week for the last 3 years.
Right, and I know your name.
Yeah, so crazy.
Right, that's funny. Well, so yeah, I guess then, and you were saying you have like health issues. So, like, I mean, because I was diabetic for a while.
I am.
Um, oh,
I
okay,
am
yeah.
diabetic.
Well, so I'm on the Manjaro now, and it's dropped a few lbs, and it helps the A1C. But I don't know. Are you doing anything preventative or
I work out
yeah?
extensively, and I mean, I don't know where my A1C is right now, but I do
No.
know that roughly 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I was 450 pounds,
Right.
and I am 230 pounds now
Well,
currently. So I've lost,
congratulations, dude.
thanks. I've lost
Yeah,
over
big up.
200 pounds, and I know that all my numbers get better from my blood pressure to my diabetes
Right.
as I
Sure.
lose weight and as I'm more active. It's like,
It's
my friend,
amazing how that works.
my friend Amin from Amin Edge and
Uh-huh.
Dance, like Cuff Recordings. I remember we were at Ibiza in 2023, and we just had this ginormous plate of paella, and he was like, we just got done. I'm like, oh, let's go find a dessert. He's like, no, we're gonna go walk for 30 minutes. I was like,
Oh,
okay. And I was like, all right. So I got into the habit of walking or biking or treadmill right after I eat
right.
every meal.
Are we gonna? Well, we're gonna have to do that twice because you will be eating barbecue twice when you're here,
Yes.
right? Terry Black's, right? Both
I mean,
times.
without a doubt. I've already texted him. He's going to be there. No.
Nice, dude. I love it. You
Is
got
that
the
even a
beat.
real person? I don't even know.
I probably is, to be honest.
Nice.
But I don't know. I'll have to research that. Um, but so yeah. So then you were also talking about. Well, I was curious. How did the whole Gettoblaster persona happen, and then how did you? Because I mean, like you said, your look
Yeah.
is distinctive. So how did you? Because it's kind of they work very well together. The name Gettoblaster and your look says Gettoblaster. You know.
So, ironically, like the look was already just falling into place because I
Mm-hmm.
love streetwear. I love collecting tennis shoes. I'm like into all that culture. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm into graffiti. I was a b-boy before I even started doing music altogether, and that was why I became a DJ because I fucking hated the DJ that was doing the music for our breakdance group. So like
Oh,
I
nice.
need to
Okay.
start doing my own music. So,
Right.
but but yeah, as far as Ghetto Blaster, like I had gone through a giant change in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like music went through a giant change in its life,
Okay.
and everybody that was around me was like astronomically huge, and I wasn't necessarily not astronomically huge, but I wasn't clearing 30 to 50,000 a show like all my friends were.
Right.
And I was like, I feel like I'm chasing the same shit they are. And I never got into this for money or the fame or anything else. But when I
Right.
threw into the wolves for that, I was like, I did this because I like house music, and here I'm trying to compete with 18-year-olds, and like it's cool if I'm competing with 18-year-olds because I'll fucking run circles around all of them as a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
But it is,
Okay.
and my knowledge on music. But as far as what I was going after as an artist wasn't there anymore. It kind of like started chasing goals of like I wanted to tour. I wanted to have big people play my records. And then I found myself hearing something. I'm like, oh, that's really dope. I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see if I could even do that.
Mm-hmm.
And like particularly, there was this progressive breakdown. And it was like, man, that's like a Tiesto breakdown. I wonder if I could do that. How crazy would that be if I did? I could make that happen. And next thing I know, Tiesto's playing that record, and I was like, oh wow, I did it. And that was like the fuel to keep going. I'm like, sick. All right, cool. I was on Club Life Radio, and like got a shout out on the radio and whatever the case was. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I had these other goals. And then, then you got the Steve Angelos playing your record, and you have like all these Martin Garrix playing your record. You have all these different people playing your record. And you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
you think that that's what you want, but it was testing myself. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, fuck all this. This is like, I'm chasing what everyone else is doing. I had to stop. Like it went from what I wanted to do to what everyone else is
Right.
doing.
It's like you felt like you weren't being authentic to who you
But I
were.
think I was chasing something because I was intrigued with how it was made.
Ah, okay.
Like at a production level, I was like, "This is cool. I bet you I can do it."
Right.
I started challenging myself, but then
Mm-hmm.
it was getting away from my mission statement. So if you listen to all my electro and all my house, I can almost guarantee you for the solid 15 years I've used the same clap in every record. There's
Oh,
this
dude,
thing-
that's funny, but that's funny
yeah,
that. But I'm gonna now I'm gonna key in on that. I'm
yeah,
gonna go,
I
oh
pitch it
yeah, dude.
differently. I'll layer it differently.
Right?
But the
That's funny.
basis of every clap and every track of mine is the same in every record for the last three aliases.
Oh, I love it, dude. That's hilarious. But
So,
that's good to know. That's
so
good
with
to know.
that being said, at the time, electro was getting very oversaturated and became very cheesy and not what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I was chasing progressive breakdowns tells you exactly how dumb I was being. So
Okay.
even though I was successful with it, I just that's not who
Right.
I
Well,
am.
you try. Look, you try things, and if it doesn't work or it doesn't resonate with you.
So after this big life change that I had in 2013, I decided to go to Miami Music Week in 2014,
Mm-hmm.
and I literally went there with about $50,000 to blow. Like
Oh
it's
wow.
like I'm going to spend this whole stack of cash that I have
Right.
that I had in a shoebox under my bed. Just so I was like, fuck this.
Right.
I'm going to go blow this. And I'm going to go to every single fucking party that I want to go to, and I need to find myself again.
Uh huh.
And I found myself at a a restaurant on Ocean Drive 4 days in a row with Steve Silcurley and DJ Skip.
Mm-hmm.
Which at that table we had lunch every single day, and I met Dimitri DeWitt, who later became my manager. That was currently Showtech and Tiesto's manager at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I had I had became friends with him. I had known him before, but we weren't like tight. We became tight there, and yeah, I just was talking house music with these guys, and then I ended up at DJ Sneak's pool party at the Clevelander. It was DJ Sneak, Felix the House Cat, Bad Boy Bill, Josh Wink, Doc Martin.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized I'm sitting at a table with all my homies who are all legends,
Right.
and I'm
Royalty.
I'm, and I'm,
Royalty, if you
and I'm
will.
looking at these guys, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't have to try to fit in with these guys. They're my
Mm-hmm.
homies. I fit in with these guys. Like this is my crew. This is my homies. Like I love and each
Right.
one of these guys individually for their own reasons. And like I was like, I need to like get back to this. And at the time, Dirty Bird was popping off, and that was a key way of getting back into house music, but still being trendy with kids. Because that's
Mm-hmm.
the youth is really important in this.
Mm-hmm.
Like as much as I talk shit about, young, old, whatever, like you still want to be in the forefront of the next thing. So like Dirty Bird was definitely very current at the time.
Right.
So I was like, I'm gonna do this style of music, like Chicago house, with my own twist. And I was G house was huge at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, the term G house was dumb.
Right.
And the idea of sampling hip hop acts, taking two hooks and pitching them, I was like, you're turning it into ghetto house.
Right.
So instead of pretending we're ghetto house, I'm going to hit up DJ Dion and DJ Funk. Rest in peace to both of them.
Right.
I got vocals from them because we were friends.
Sure.
It may have taken about 80 phone calls, but I definitely I got vocals.
Right.
And I wrote some fucking bomb records with these
Mm-hmm.
guys. And I tapped into what was G House, but in my own way with Chicago purists.
Sure.
And it was a little less cheesy to say. Let's just say that.
Right.
And I got the attention of a lot of important people right off the rip. I put out a 20-track album to start Gettoblaster, which is not available anywhere right now.
Right.
But I took down a handful of things because I folded some labels or whatever. But at the time, that record, the first two big supporters of that album was Lauren Garnier and Shiba San, right off the rip. These two
Oh
guys,
yeah.
first ones were like, Shiba San, like when you do the review, it says, it's not fair to make me pick one. You know what I mean? Like,
I
fuck
love she was fun.
He's
He's a
great.
nice guy.
And Lauren Garnier was like, this is one of the best albums I've heard out of Chicago in 20 years.
Right.
That was cool. And to this day, currently, I'm friends with both of these guys. I get big support from both of them. And that's weird, too. Lauren Garnier is like, I remember Shiba San was tripping when I told him, because I had a record on Shiba San's label. I go, dude, you'll never believe who charted the record. He's like, who's that? And he's from France.
Right. Yeah.
So I told him Lauren Garnier was supposed
Yeah.
to respond to me for 2 days.
he
2 days
he
later,
quietly hated you.
no, 2 days later, he texted, wow.
Right.
You
He
know
was
what I mean?
Sheba is a man of few words.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
actually, believe it or not, he is not a man of few words. He's a man of few words until you actually become.
Until you get to rap with him. Yeah. I kind of figured he would open up if you were like in a
Yeah,
private setting.
we did a handful of dates together because
Hmm.
like, he was a big supporter of us, and
Right.
at the time us, but me now
Hmm.
currently. But like I said, it was cool because like he invited me to do basement league parties all over the country with,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
there's
That's one
times.
cool thing about him. He fosters, the up and comers too.
Yeah, and
You know.
the funny thing about him is there's times where we're talking, and there's other times we're just standing next to each other, we're just smiling at each other, not saying shit.
Right.
But we're both noticing the same stuff, and like I
Yep.
remember we were at Superior Ingredient.
Hmm.
I was playing right before him. He come up behind me and gave me a big hug behind my back. He's like, "How you doing?" I said, "Good." And that was it. Later that night, since we sold out the rooftop, they were like, "Let's add a party." They sold out the main room for the second party. That party was
Right.
at 11 o'clock, so we sold out two in a row. I don't think we said more than 5 words to each other the whole time, but it was like we didn't need to say anything to each other.
Right.
It was like we were in a vibe. Like he came up, I was ripping it. I still have that on my Instagram. Like
Yeah.
so in fact, I'm gonna pin it so you can see it.
Okay.
But I just remember it was like one of those shows where like I felt like I couldn't own New York anymore at that moment. Every record was just like crowd cheer after crowd cheer. I had Tommy Sunshine behind me pumping his
Oh
fist,
yeah.
Love and Logic on the other side going nuts, and you know what I'm saying.
Right.
I had like all the homies there. It was super cool.
Sure. Yeah. It's always nice to be appreciated by your peers because
Yeah,
then it's I'm not gonna lie. Like, and I'm going to ask you this question, but like, it's always good to have validation, and I think that that's what a lot of people, are looking for is validation, and being accepted and stuff like that. So, and I always tell younger kids or people that are coming up, I do this because I love it. And
yeah,
I do this. I started producing again because I missed it so much because
yeah.
there was a void, dude. There was a void that was going on that only production fills for me. It's my way of painting. It's my way of creating. And I say, do this because you love it, not because you're going to headline Tomorrowland. And I mean that's
Right.
cool. Look, I mean, I'm like, look at it. You can look at it as a business, which it is at the end
Yeah.
of the day. At the end of the day, but what would you say, like, as far as advice to somebody coming up? How did you do this, or how do you get there, or what should I do, and blah blah blah.
I mean, is it a specific question, or are you just asking me what
Just a
advice?
blanket question, like a blanket advice question, like if for people looking to come up and how you succeeded and what your secret sauce was.
I mean, so when I started Ghetto Blaster, like the secret sauce was not to make the same mistakes I made the first two times around.
Okay,
And not that's not advice for everybody because not everyone's had two runs at this.
right,
Shit, most people can't make it past the first run. So like,
sure,
so I mean, people get discouraged pretty easily. And I think if I were to go back to the basis, advice is don't steer away from what it is that you want. Don't put records out till you're ready to know what your sound is, and stick to your guns. Like I like literally like I'm infatuated with listening to other people and managers talk about how they make the decisions for their artists or the artists make their decisions. And specifically, there was one thing, and this is going to be great because the second I say this to you, you're going to believe this with my brand.
mm-hmm,
So, Avicii's manager at the time, Ash Panori, he had said, yes, Avicii was good at making this kind of music, that kind of music, of this and that and that and that. He's like, but when you look at the fucking logo, you hear something.
mm-hmm,
Don't ever fucking veer away from what it is that visually you hear. So when
mm-hmm,
you see Ghetto Blaster, you hear something because you know it a little bit, and then
mm-hmm,
the name, you get exactly what the fuck. And I'm not steering away from my brand by any means.
mm-hmm. I
And
got it.
that is like stay on brand is number one most important thing. But the number one most important, the absolute like the hands down holy grail of advice,
Mm-hmm.
you are never going to get what you want if you quit.
Yeah, that's true. I love that. I say something similar. I say you're never going to win the race if you don't enter.
Yep. I literally just put this on Threads yesterday. I was like, you are never going to get what you want if you quit.
Yeah, that's true. And another one of my favorite quotes is, God, what was the guy? Winston Churchill. And he says, success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
that's definitely, I mean, in general, too, like
Right.
this whole game is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And if you lose your love for it, get out.
Right.
If
Yeah.
you never loved it, get out.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people that I see, like
A lot of dead weight, so to speak.
my favorite. I was doing a remix for somebody one time, and I'll keep them nameless, but they were like, "If I'm not as big as John Summit by the end of the year, I'm quitting."
Okay.
I said, "Yo, player, quit now.
Right, dude. Save
Quit
yourself
now.
some time.
You in your late 30s have a better chance of making the NBA than that. So go for it."
Right.
But that's again, people in it for the wrong reasons. You
Mm-hmm.
think John Summit thought he was going to be the biggest fucking thing in dance music? Absolutely not.
Right.
One win led to another, led to another, led to another, and the enthusiasm and the want for more and the ability to achieve more is what got him where he is. It has nothing to do with when he first started. He was like, "Oh, I'm going to be the biggest thing in dance music," because that's not true. He did not think.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I'm friends with him enough to know that. So, like, there's that.
Sure. Well, he's a Chicago guy too, huh?
Yeah, of course.
Right? Yeah. Of
We
course.
we
Of
we
course.
we ran it. Well, it's about time
Right.
someone from Chicago got to his level because no one has
Right.
been. Like, I don't think the closest person that got to the status that he's at in Chicago, in my opinion, in the current years, is probably Cruella, and they fucked that up. So, like,
Mm.
John's taking the trophy now, but as far as success goes, the only closest person to him would be Green Velvet because he's been relevant for 30 years.
Right.
That
He's got that Carl Cox gene going on. Just
well,
a long first off, bangers, but just the straight longevity of it.
second of all, I mean, he's collabed with Carl Cox and has played back to back with him, so
Oh yeah.
he's in the same realm. It
Oh
is what.
yeah, for sure. For sure.
But what I've liked about his career, and I can't say this for a lot of people's careers, is this man's never chased it. Like he may chase business and whatever have you, but this guy's never chasing. Um, he's never chasing popularity.
Yeah.
He's always been in the cool realm. Like somehow this guy's managed to
Sure.
stay cool for 30 years. Like he's just
He's
you
just
can love
cool.
you can love him and hate him. It doesn't matter. But his music stays in like this. It's not crazy here, it's not crazy there, but it never gets played out.
How about this term? It's authentic.
I mean that too, but it's
Okay.
Chicago. It's very
No, but I
Chicago.
mean it's him and it's
It's
authentic, you
Chicago.
know, yeah.
It's very Chicago, and it.
But he was the first dude that did the whole microphone out of the headphone thing that I remember.
I wouldn't give him that credit,
No,
but
you don't give him that credit. Well, I just remember, the whole little kiddies doing their
oh,
balloon,
for sure, for
Yeah,
sure. I'm not saying that that's not the
right.
case. I'm saying that I don't think he was the first person to do it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he was the first person to make it famous. Kind of, sort of, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Hey, look,
Hey, man,
okay, let me put it this way. He was the first person I saw do it.
there you go.
There we
Perfect. I'll
go.
accept that.
I'll accept that answer.
For sure. But
Right.
like I said, he's a dude that has done it his way, and I like that. I like that he hasn't really veered too far off his craziness, and I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whether you like him or not as a person or a business or whatever, he definitely has his staple in longevity and shelf life. Like, and I
Yeah.
love that because that to me is more interesting than having a hit record. I don't care about your hit record. Hit records come and go. I've had a hit record,
Mm-hmm.
and it is what it is. But can you still play your hit record 10 years later? Here
Right.
it's 5 years later for me, and I can still play that record, and there's still someone in the audience who's never heard it that loves it. They're like, this
Yeah.
is cool. This is a cool record. And to me, finding a happy medium in music where you can create a long shelf life
Yeah.
is cool. But back to your question about,
Mhm.
I think a lot of this conversation was supposed to be about mental health.
Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
but whatever.
mental health is a big thing in this business because
Mm.
I've not only had friends struggle with mental health in this business, but the idea of quote unquote what people think making it is will drive you crazy in this business.
Mm,
If you have zero expectations of making it anywhere, you can't really drive yourself crazy.
sure.
Like
Right.
to me, every day is a win because I never expect to even get a plane ticket to play a gig, let alone hit 1,000,000 miles on Delta. Like I never
Right.
expected to get one plane ticket, let alone fly 1,000,000 miles.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess when I produce, maybe it's just like I expect somebody to like it because if I like it, somebody else will like it.
I
And
think
that's
that's
just
I
kind
think
of my
that's
mindset.
I think that's where we're different now with Ghetto Blaster. For me, when I make a record, I
Mhm.
want to play it. I don't give a fuck if you like it.
Yeah. Well, and no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. 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 I
I've
mean, I
changed,
like
changed my mentality as far as
right.
in general. Like I know that I have pretty decent taste in music. Obviously, there's going to be someone out there who likes it, but
Right.
like my mo really is my own personal satisfaction, and where when I get into the vanity part of it, I'm more interested in who's playing my record than who bought my record. I don't really care.
Right.
Like I give a lot of records out for free. Like if someone messages me that I've never heard of ever in my entire life, says, "Hey, can you send me this record?" I do
Um,
without a doubt within seconds. I'm like,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
here's two more that you never heard before because they're never going to come out.
Right.
Like,
That's cool.
I love sharing music with people. It doesn't
Right.
bother me. Like to me, that's a win.
Yeah.
There's someone who cares.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm just like, hey, I'm just excited that somebody else, it resonates with somebody else, And I agree with no, but I agree with you on that part. I make music for myself. I make something
Yeah,
I would like. And that's why I'm saying if I like it, then somebody else is gonna like it. But you can also say, you know, fuck the end listener. I made it for myself. It's
yeah.
kind of the same thing.
It's shame on artists who will support a record and not respond to the person who made the record. I've had it in the past where like had some of the biggest people in the world play my records fuck 60 times tracked on
Right.
track
Yeah.
list on 1001 track list. I'm like,
And they
damn,
won't even like
like this person played my record more than I did.
right, yeah.
And I'm like, hey man, thank you for playing my record. It's super fucking cool that you played my record that many times.
Uh-huh.
Would love to send you something else that's very similar. And the dude just like acted like I didn't exist.
Ghost. Oh.
And then on the flip, I have someone who I will name is
Uh-huh.
large as Claptone, who played my record fucking 80 times. And I'm like,
Mhm.
yo, like tracked. So he played it more
Yeah.
than that. I was like, yo, man, thank you so much for playing my record. That is so rad. He was like, hey, man, can you do something similar for a remix for one of my records? I got a remix to do for Claptone. I did. It
Right.
was incredible to me. It's sitting at 250,000 streams right now. And 250,000 is not the big dog in this game, but it's
Hey dude,
definitely,
I'm excited. I just had my first 200,000 streamers. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's
yeah,
cool, dude. So it's all relative and it
yeah,
is what it is. Hey man, like at the end of the day, I'm happy. And I play it to a crowd and I can see them react and they have
yeah.
no idea. And
I
it's just
feel
cool.
like I hit better numbers too when I'm not looking at the numbers. Like,
Right.
yeah, after a record's been out for a couple of years, I'll look and yeah, yes, I get enticed and thrown at it when people are like, "Hey, you're in Crate Diggers this week," and
Right.
whatever fucking Spotify playlist you're in. Like, I'll pay attention when someone brings it to my attention, but I don't chase it.
Yeah, sure.
I can't chase it. I don't have the capacity to chase that shit.
Right. Well, and I mean the thing is I think, and I love this saying as well. The harder you work, the luckier you are. And I think you put a lot of hard work into what you're doing, and it's paying off for you. Are you taking a trip to the? Do we get to see Ghetto Blaster's refrigerator on here?
I'm actually going to my refrigerator currently.
Yeah.
Grab something to drink. Yes.
Nice. Okay. I went. I was gonna say, did this turn into like a episode of
Cribs,
Cribs? Yeah,
cribs,
dude.
right, right.
here's my here's
Sponsored by
my
Sprite Zero.
here's my fridge, and it's
Yeah.
all like everything's lined up perfectly and all that.
That is not my fridge.
Right. That's funny,
No,
dude.
it's a bunch of to go containers because
Right.
we've been eating out a lot lately because we've been moving around quite a bit.
Sure.
So
Gotcha. Well, hey, dude, I want to say thanks for coming on, man, and I'm super stoked. for you to be in town on, once again, that is June 8th, and it is a day party from 11
Yeah,
a.m. to 7 p.m. And it's going to be me and Demarcus. So I've known Demarcus ever since I started in this game, right?
yeah.
And him and I have never done a B2B. So
Oh wow.
I was like, dude, the special B2B opening for Paul. You know, we got to represent Dallas a little bit. So there's going to be lots of good. Past the 40 will be there. A lot of peeps. My friend Tio Pass from Greece is coming in.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's going to be an international affair. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I just want to say thanks for making the time for the show, and because I know you're a
Yes, of
busy
course.
dude. And then, is there any parting words, advice, or anything you would like to plug, or both?
Well, I guess at the very end of it, like the whole like clean slate on the mental health, like just you do have to take time for yourself. I think that's where I was going with one of the stories of like, well, how I ended up in the emergency room on a panic attack. I just realized that like go 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 is fun until you need to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be longer than a day or a week or whatever. Like I tour so much that there just has to be a point where like I just don't answer anybody. I have to have some me time. Like right
Mm-hmm.
now, like currently I'm working on about 14 projects. I have a couple radio shows that are needed to be done. Coming upon Memorial Day weekend, I have 3 shows this weekend. Couldn't find a dog sitter, so we're taking our dog to one of the gigs.
Hell yeah, dude! Gotta
Yeah,
love that.
it's fun finding hotels that accept dogs too. That's cool.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so like, it's just like and that was another thing too. Like, I mean, for me, having a pet and having some normal home life is definitely a must too, and eating healthy, working out, taking care of yourself, making sure you balance.
Mm-hmm.
Balance is very important in all this. If
Right.
you want to go for a long period of time, if you want to burn out quick and just get in, get out,
Right.
party like a rock star.
Hey,
But
I do have a question that might be partying, but then also might be mental health, because
yeah,
the whole psychedelics thing. There's a big proponent or a big movement that psychedelics are, if you take them in moderation, that they are mentally good for you. And I know that or can be helpful. Let's say that. But I know your label is called Aliens and Mushrooms. So how did that come about, real quick, before because I would have been pissed if I
it's
did not
so
have
weird how
that.
they can't like. So I do have a partner in my label too. My friend
Hmm.
Uriah is my partner in my label. He's him and Missy are
Oh,
both.
Uriah G, right?
Yeah, and Missy is also a partner in the
Right.
label. It's the 3 of us.
Okay.
And initially it was 4 of us, but it's 3 of us now. But
Okay.
anyhow, the label itself, I had a label called We Jack that was essentially supposed to be a little bit more of a serious label, and it turned into more of an American label, which
Hmm.
that wasn't the goal.
Okay.
This kind of happened, and I may revisit that label at some point in my career. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I mean, it still sells records. I know
Right.
that. We A&R some of the greatest records on that label. But Aliens on Mushrooms was supposed to be geared towards the American audience on a large level, and not so much just American. Don't let me exclude everyone else,
Right.
but We Jack was such a bland name for where the American scene is right now.
Hmm.
It's a very cool Chicago name. Like We Jack was cool and like it was very appealing to the legends of Chicago, which I had on my label.
Hmm. Right.
Everyone from the Paul Johnsons to the DJ Dion's. Like I've had a real good run with the label, but in my opinion, I felt like I needed something that was a little bit more appealing to American audience.
Hmm.
And I felt like aliens have always been part of the culture of rave culture. Like there's
Sure.
always aliens and angels
Oh
and
yeah, there
weird,
was
weird
total,
shit.
like, everyone's called Believe and
Yeah, totally.
encounter.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
But somehow without being corny, right? And then
Hmm.
there's an aspect of me that loves the desert parties, that loves the fucking camp out parties. And I'm like, how do I intertwine this new hippie age of people that are you know, like the Electric Forest type kids or
Mm-hmm.
Shambhala or whatever, you know,
Desert Hearts.
Desert Hearts, the
Yeah.
fucking Dirty Bird Camp Out, like all these things that I'm part of. I played
Mm-hmm.
Desert Heart. I mean, look here, I played Desert Hearts Festival last summer. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like, I've played the Dirty Bird Camp Out a couple of times. I've done the
Right.
King Band. I've done a lot of these things. I did Electric Forest last year. So, like, for
Mm-hmm.
me, like, how do I intertwine the hippie kid who does like house music that doesn't always need bass music or jam band music, but
Mm-hmm.
also how do I intertwine it with the rave culture? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I had gone. This is here's one of the secrets to the sauce.
Okay.
um, Zoomies is a skate shop, right? But it's in every mall,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like what Gadzooks at one time was, and all
Hot
these different
Topic.
hot topic. Like so,
Right.
you have these stores that are like very much into the trends
Mm-hmm.
and tied into street culture because skateboarding street culture, right? So I was like. Aliens on Mushrooms sounds cool. And I had gone into Zoomies, and every fucking shirt that I looked at either had an alien on it or a mushroom on it.
Right.
I was like, and then the last factor is go into your emojis. And do I have an alien emoji and do I have a fucking mushroom emoji? I do.
Right.
I don't have to sell this name too much. It kind of sells
Right.
itself.
There's already branding.
And then right off the rip,
Mm-hmm.
they they make was it the Area 51 files and all these things known to public the
Mm-hmm.
same summer that I decided to start this label,
Mm-hmm.
and they decriminalized mushrooms in Michigan. I was like, bro, I have the
Right.
fucking system working with me. This is incredible. I don't know how the hell this happened,
It's
but
a
it did.
universe thing, dude. I willed it into
Yeah,
existence.
it's so
I
crazy.
co-created it.
I seriously feel like it. And the
Right.
one thing that I've always liked about Elrose, it's about the party and not the DJ. The DJ is an important part of it, but the party itself is fucking sick.
Right. Well, you and
So,
I can appreciate the days when it was you were by the pisser over here and you were looking at the floor. You weren't like, oh, I'm the, I got to do a dance.
well, yeah, and like I said, you know, it was one of those things where like I was like, people keep forgetting that it is a party.
Yeah.
I DJ with people who play too serious sometimes, and they're
Mhm.
like all about the agenda they're pushing, but they're not about the party.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look around. If no one's vibing to you, there's a problem. Like
Right.
maybe you're not cut out for this.
Right.
You know, because it is a party when you're, and I believe producing music and being a DJ is two separate businesses.
Mm-hmm.
The people who are able to put the two together are the successful people.
Yeah. I like that.
Because sometimes DJs make music, and I've been guilty of this. I've made music that I can't play out. It doesn't work in my sets.
Right.
And that was a big Paul Anthony problem. I couldn't figure out what sound it was that I wanted to be glued to.
Mm-hmm.
And I found myself not playing my records. So with Ghetto Blaster, there's not a fucking single record of my 400 records that are out that I wouldn't play tomorrow.
Right.
Like legit, I could
Yeah.
play it. It works. It sounds relevant. Like I haven't changed my sound in the 9.5 years that I've been Ghetto Blaster. It's the same
Right.
thing
I got it.
with better production quality. That's it. I
Sure.
get better. I get better at my mixing and mastering because it changes over time.
Yeah. No, I mean, and everything, it's just like any kind of craft or something you do, you get better as you go along, hopefully. You
What's
know.
really funny is while I'm currently talking to you doing my record box, I literally had put about 25 tracks from 2014 on my drive for the next 3 weeks of gigs
Sure.
because in general, music was better in 2014 than it is today.
Right. Oh
I-
yeah. I mean, I definitely I'll hear. I mean that's also an advantage that we have. We have like this whole time capsule, decades of
yeah.
music to choose from where like some kid gets excited if he finds a Together remix and I'm like,
Mhm.
bro, you don't even know, dude.
Yeah.
There's all this stuff on roulette, bro. It was yeah.
I mean, the big thing that I want to, leave this conversation with is a selfless promotion of my things that I have coming
Of course,
up.
dude.
So I am definitely on tour with my friend Jay Flip doing the Fries with That Shake tour,
Okay.
which I definitely tried to sell to you on this gig,
You
but
did, but we are ballers on a budget, and
yeah, no, for
and it
sure.
is a Sunday day party, so
Right, right, for sure. But that Saturday, I'll be in Austin doing the tour, and the Friday before, I'll be in Oklahoma by myself because it's kind of the same scenario as you. It's a
gotcha.
smaller party.
Right.
So, long story short, that's going on probably on and off throughout the whole year. Like me and her are going to be doing gigs all the way till the end of the year,
Okay.
and it's the tour is set mostly for the summer, but some promoters just couldn't make it happen until the fall. So we're going to do that. It's all good.
Okay.
But we're definitely doing a track together too. It will be coming out soon. We're still working on it. I haven't sent her the stems yet. She's been yelling at me for the last month for
Right.
sending me the stems, but I'm just not done before I hand it over.
Sure.
So that's one thing I want to push. The other thing I want to push is my Acid Ice Cream album. I've already dropped a single. It was just the reason it became the name of the album is because it was a cool name. That's it,
Mm-hmm.
right? For the most part. And for those of you that have been hearing me talk about it for months, and for those of you who have no fucking clue who I am and can give a shit about anything I'm saying, do yourself a favor and go to my Bandcamp, Gettoblaster, and buy the T-shirt. Because regardless if you think I'm whack or not, my shirt is fucking dope. So
And just so everybody knows, it's spelled Getto Blaster BLA. So it's not GH.
I
Yeah.
needed to be really ghetto when I spelt it for sure.
That's right.
So, but yeah, the acid ice cream t-shirt's super sick. I had my designer make this
Nice.
like it's a melting ice cream cone,
Right.
obviously because it's acid ice cream, and the cone is made out of blotter paper.
Ah, okay.
So it's
Well,
really cool. It's super dope.
there's a theme going on with psychedelics in your world, Paul.
I mean, there is, there always has been, and it's
Uh,
funny enough. I've never eaten mushrooms or done acid.
wow, that's funny.
Yeah, no,
That
I've
is
actually done
ironic.
nothing. I've only done cocaine and weed. That's it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I've never even eaten ecstasy before.
Oh, wow, dude.
No
Well,
MDMA. I took the
all right.
back rub, but I didn't take the pill.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, long story short, though, I'm definitely pushing the album. The album is going to come out. I'm probably going to.
Are you doing vinyl as well?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
So
hell yeah, dude.
there's 32 tracks on the digital album, and there's 9 tracks on the vinyl.
Right. Well, you and
So
I'll have to talk after this because I got to figure out the whole vinyl thing, and I gotta like press some backstock like stuff that I want that never came out on vinyl, and then I want to make like a best of the current stuff, but we'll talk about that off the air.
yeah, they have on-demand vinyl printing too. By the way,
That's what I heard.
that's a
That's
new thing.
that's
I
what I
just
heard.
tried it. I haven't ordered one of my own records yet, but I
Right.
will.
And then also, I got to give a shout out to the space disco shirt you're wearing.
Oh yeah.
I just played with Hatteras in Miami
Oh cool.
on that Sunday, and it's funny because I actually have a record that I submitted to him, and then hopefully, and if your Sunday party does well and we start doing more, I think he might be the second installation. So
Sick,
it's
dude.
kind of
George is
funny.
he's a phenomenal DJ and a great person.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm excited for you to have him. He's a really good dude.
Yeah, and it's just ironic that you're wearing that. It's like the universe just goes, "Oh, hey."
Yeah. I've had like probably 8 or 10 records on Space Disco.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll be label mates on there because I got
Yeah.
one I sent him and I think it's good. Whatever.
Oh yeah. He's a good dude though. Like I've been knowing him since the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So since he put out some of his first records on
He's a
IHR.
machine too, dude. Much like our friend Demarcus. Demarcus.
Oh,
I mean, you can put out records, but I think Demarcus is literally up to 3,500 records, which is insane.
I'm a little bit over 1,000 with all my aliases,
Right.
but I think Ghetto Blaster with relicenses and stuff like that is, I mean, poking around 300 some. But
Right.
to me, like where you have a John Summit who has deviated from tech house tracks to making songs.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you can't play a John Summit track going into a Cascade track without someone like a Ghetto Blaster in between. Going from song to song without that bridge
Yeah.
in a nightclub scenario, you need, and I'm not going to say a Ghetto Blaster track, but you need something like a Ghetto Blaster
Right.
track.
A little palate cleanser, if you will.
Yeah, like totally, like something
Right.
stripped down that makes
Yeah.
the two melodies go together. You know what I
I
mean? So,
agree. I agree.
and And I've always told myself it's way cooler to be, in my opinion, it's way cooler to be the bridge between two hit records to the point where you're on everyone's flash drive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
I love that, and
Right.
to me, like it just works out. It works out. I've like I said, my support list is long, and again, to me, my support list is way more braggable than any number ones or top
Oh
tens that
yeah,
I've had, which I've had enough of those. But
sure.
to me, I actually enjoy knowing that Riva Starr played my record, or Dom Dollar sends me a private message, hey bro, I played Get That with DJ Funk and you at this
Hmm.
festival, or whatever have you. You know what I mean?
Right.
To me, that's always so much cooler to
It's
witness that.
validation, man. It's validation.
I mean, there's nothing weirder too than when you go to a basketball game. I went to the Pacers game with Missy the other day, and she's like, "Get your phone out." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Your track's playing." I'm like, "What the fuck?" So I'm like, "Track's playing in the stadium." Like it was the craziest
Nice.
thing.
That is crazy. I
Yeah,
love it.
it's just it's such a, you hear your music so much too, you don't know it's happening,
Hmm.
and then when you know it's happening, you're having this oh shit moment, like oh
Right.
shit,
Well,
oh
no,
shit.
but yeah, because this is playing at the arena where there's 18,000 people. This is
Yeah.
not just my house or my car.
Or even like a techno festival. These are people who don't even like this music and they
Right.
have to hear
Yeah.
my record.
Yeah.
And then it turns out my friend's the DJ of the stadium and heard that I was there.
Oh, there you go. I love it.
It was my record, Watch Out Now, that's on Space Disco, actually.
Oh, nice. Well, dude, it's full circle. Full
Yeah, for
circle
sure.
space disco George.
Hey, right? For
Love
sure.
it. But anyway, dude, thanks again for coming on, man. I appreciate you being forthright and open, because we all struggle and we're all human. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get knocked down a million times, man. It's about your get up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yep. 100%, man. Well, y'all be sure and go support Ghetto Blaster. That's Getto Blaster on his Bandcamp. And I'm going to actually go there and maybe get an Aliens and Mushroom shirt, dude.
Thank you. I
Or
appreciate it.
Aliens on Mushrooms. Sorry. My bad.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you got
I'm
it.
definitely, I'm recommending anyone who wants one of these cool acid ice cream shirts to get one,
Right.
because I think I have about 25 left. I sold like 300 over the last couple days, so like
Right.
it's definitely gone really quick. So
Love it. Okay. Well, just like the tickets for Ghetto Blaster are going very quick. We just put them on
sick.
2 days ago, and the freebies before 2 p.m. have gone.
Oh
So
wow,
now we're into the good part.
nice.
Yeah, man. But thanks again for coming on, and then be sure to tune in next week, guys. And then be sure like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And then remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety, because if there was, we would all take too many.
Please buy my shirt because my dog doesn't get treats unless you buy one.